Hello and welcome to our 2026 Real Estate Team Building for Success webinar. My name is Randy Cochran and I'm your host today. I'm the Director of National Growth and Development with Equity Real Estate. And our goal today is to show you how to build a real estate team that thrives through collaboration, strategy, and shared goals. The word team in real estate right now is a really hot topic. And part of that is because of the climate of real estate that we're currently in is a climate that we've never really been in before. Now, I've been in real estate now since December of 2000, and I've been through quite a few different market shifts or market changes. And the market that we're in right now, I would say, is just very different than any market we've ever been in before. But because of that, every time we move into a different market, it creates opportunity for us as brokers and as agents. As we go through today's webinar, make sure that you're taking lots of notes. And at the end of the webinar, everybody that registered for the webinar and has attended the webinar, we're going to get out a copy of the recording. We're going to send you an ebook, and we're also going to send you some additional support materials that are going to help you grow a team in your business. And some of you are going, Randy, I don't want to build a team, but I was just intrigued enough to be on today's webinar. Well, even if you're just a solo or individual agent, believe it or not, you already have a team. And that team is your transaction coordinator. It's also your title company. It's your home warranty company. It's your home staging company. It may be a company that is helping you set up your open houses. It may be your CPA tax advisor. You may have a handyman that's helping you prepare your listings for sale. And even if you're that individual or solo agent, you have a team already, even though you might not recognize those individuals in that role. Right now, agents are really stuck in one of two places. The agents that we're talking to out there right now, they're either overwhelmed and reactive to what's happening in the market. And we just have some simple questions today to ask. Are you constantly responding instead of leading? We call these Pop-Tart agents. And what that means is your phone rings, you don't have anything on your schedule, you pop up and run out the door without a plan. And if that's how you're treating your business is always in a state of chaos. Do you feel like your phone controls your day? And because of technology, everything that we're doing as agents really revolves around our phone. And believe it or not, the more contacts that you have in your CRM and your phone, the more real estate transactions we're actually able to do. It's estimated that 3 out of 7 contacts in your phone will actually transact real estate, and that's per 100, will transact real estate in the next 12 months. So if you have 100 contacts in your phone, that's 3 to 7 transactions that you could potentially be a part of. And think about if you have a 500 or 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 contacts in your phone or CRM, there's a lot of transactions that are going to happen in the next 12 months with or without us. And then the next question is, are vacations more stressful than refreshing? A lot of times we'll talk with brokers and agents, and they'll have been on an amazing trip. They'll post it on social media, and I'll say, how did it go? And they'll say, well, I spent most of the time at the pool or the beach, but I was working the whole time. And that's definitely not a place where you want to be in your business. And if you struggle to step away from your business, especially if you're just at home and you're on 24/7, that's not a good thing for you or your spouse or significant other or your family members. We're always juggling a lot of balls in real estate. And what happens is every time we drop a ball, it affects somebody in our business and our life. And the whole purpose behind really building a team is to really build a lifestyle that supports your business, not a business that supports your lifestyle. And then if you're handling every detail, what that means is you are doing $15 to $30 per hour work that is non-income producing that you should be leveraging off to somebody else. One of the things that we talk about a lot in our business planning webinar and our raving referrals webinar is as brokers and agents, what our per hour is actually worth. Because if you take your amount of gross income per transaction and divide it by the number of hours it takes to do each transaction, and it's going to be different. We know that it's going to take 8 to 10 hours to list and sell a property, and it's going to take 30 to 50 hours to work with a buyer to buy a property. And it's a combination of the two, but you can figure out very, very quickly how much money you pay work per hour when you're engaged with a client. But if you're doing paperwork and you're overseeing the transaction and you're scheduling everything yourself, and you're supposed to be making $500 to $1,000 per hour, but you're entrenched in $15 to $30 per hour activities, your business is never going to grow or scale. And basically, what that means is if you're uh, stepping away from your lifestyle or your family or your significant others or your kids to do paperwork during the day when you could be spending time with them. Basically, what you're telling your family and your significant other and your kids is you're not even worth $30 an hour to me. And so we need to make a little bit of a mind shift if we're feeling overwhelmed and especially reactive. Now, agents, on the other hand, they also feel capped and stalled. And what that means is you're closing deals but not increasing income. And oftentimes that's because of where we're generating our leads from. If we're having to give up 30 to 50% of our commissions to lead generation companies, and then we still have to pay our broker, oftentimes we're just not in a position where we can earn the net income that we want to earn. And if you lack systems to scale further, we need to fix that because anything that you do in your business more than 3 times needs to have a system behind it. And right now, if you're relying too heavily on buyer transactions, your business is at risk. One of the things that we talk about a lot is leading with listings. If you have a listing, and we'll talk about this in just a few minutes, there's a phrase or a quote that says, if you list, you last in real estate. And that's true because if you have a listing, you're controlling inventory. If you have buyers, the inventory is controlling everything that we do. And yes, you have to have a combination of a mix of both of those things, but at some point in time, you want to focus just on listings if at all possible, and then leverage an agent or buyer's agents on your team to really work with the buyers because the buyers are what takes the most amount of time in our business. And if you feel like you've hit your ceiling, what that means is you are under leveraged. That means that we need to put systems and people in place to grow and scale. And one of the things that we talk about a lot, especially with our brokers that own their branches, is being able to step away from production as quickly as possible. Because if 80% of your income relies on you, then you don't have a business that you can sell. But if we can flip that and you can have 20% of the income relying on you and your personal production and 80% of your income relying on on other people, when we shift that leverage, it changes everything in your world. Because our goal is to help everybody work Monday through Friday, a regular work schedule, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., not work nights, not work weekends, and take 8 to 12 weeks a year off in your business and not even have to think about it and still maintain that lifestyle. And if you want more, but are not sure what that next step is, we're going to show you how to achieve that next step. But you have to be open-minded, you have to be willing, and then you have to commit to a plan to get to that next level. This is what team building looks like and why it's different in 2026. The solo agent model is under so much pressure that client expectations, technology, and marketing complexity have permanently shifted in our market. And we're already seeing a massive change and shift, especially with the big box and the larger brokerages, where they're trying to build their business based on teams, not on individual agents, because the level of production on a team is 3 to 5 times that of an individual agent. And that's because individual agents only have so much capacity. Building a team is no longer about ego or status. For a long time, everybody just said, I want to have a team, I want to be the leader. But now it's about sustainability, profitability, and freedom in your business. A well-built team protects your time, it stabilizes your income, and it builds infrastructure around your production. With the right structure in place, growth becomes predictable instead of overwhelming. The most important questions is when should you hire? And we're going to give you an outline of exactly when you should be hiring and who you should be hiring for your team. And hiring is not about if or emotion. If you hire because you're feeling overwhelmed, you're reacting to your business and you're not leading. And right out of the gate, every single person, and I mentioned this before, you need to have some assistance. We shouldn't be doing those $15 to $20 non-income producing activities. And in the very beginning, you can start out very simply with an admin or a virtual assistant or a combination of both. But we need to offload the tasks that other people can do. And oftentimes they can do it way better than me, or way better than you, or way better than maybe even the team leader or the broker owner. We're talking about specialists. Also, it's not about feeling busy. Activity does not equal readiness. Production must be predictable, and predictable production equals the right type of income producing activities in your business. And then it's also focusing on those listings. It's about timing your leverage correctly. The right hire at the right stage multiplies your revenue, and the wrong hire at the wrong stage multiplies stress. And in the very beginning of your business, anytime that you hire anybody for a position, you need to make sure that the role that you're hiring for, their personality matches that role. And we're going to give you a list of personality traits that you're looking for based on position so that you get the right people on the bus and in the right seats and all heading the same direction. One of the things you definitely want to remember as you build out your team is you want to be very, very slow to hire and you want to be very, very fast to fire. And hiring should be based on production, stability, profitability, and lead flow consistency. There are 4 growth stages in every real estate business. And as you move through that predictable growth phase, stage 1 is going to be 1 to 10 transactions. If you're doing 1 to 10 transactions in your business, you're in personal production. Right here is where you want to develop skill development and database building, and focus is on your consistency and lead generation and really getting your income to where you want it to be for growth mode. And we want to get everybody to a minimum of $100,000 in GCI as fast as you can get there. Some of you are going to get there in a couple months. Some of them might take 6. Some of you might take the whole year. But the goal is to eclipse 6 figures. And then once you get to 6 figures, we want to double it. And then we want to double it again. And if your goal is 7 figures in your business, that is definitely attainable, especially with a team. Stage 2 is 10 to 20 transactions. When you're doing 10 to 20 transactions a year, which is really about 1.5 to 2 a month, your income starts to stabilize. You're taking the peaks and valleys out, systems begin to form, and this is often the first true leverage opportunity. Stage 3 of your business is 20 to 40 transactions. And this is where production increases, but pressure actually increases faster. Without support, your burnout will become real. I remember having a conversation with an agent in our office once, and they were a listing machine. And they would get up every day and they would prospect from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. every day. They would take a lunch break, and then from 2 to 5, they were on listing appointments every day. And they were typically going on 1 to 3 listing appointments every single day in their business. And they were so burned out after 1 year because they sold over 130 homes by themselves leveraging a title company to try and assist them in their business, that by the end of the year, even though they made really significant income, they were completely burned out and ready to exit the business. Had they actually leveraged properly, they probably would have done twice the amount of business in half the time. Stage four is 40 to 100 transactions a year. And this is where your leadership replaces production as a primary job. And this is where you really get to focus on business development and agent development versus your own personal production. Your structure at this point in time determines whether the team scales or it fractures. And when you're building a team is a lot like building an airplane in flight. We're going to start out with a little Cessna 150 or 152, and then at some point we're going to build that into a 6 or 8 seater, and then we're going to build it into a much bigger Citation, and then at some point in time we're going to be in a 747, and we're going to have a massive amount of seats and a massive amount of people at this stage. But every time we grow and scale and we add on, things are going to break. These are your hiring triggers. These are the numbers that tell you it's time to leverage. And leverage follows predictable math, not pressure that we feel in our business. Whenever you list a property, if you're listing the property and marketing it correctly during the listing period, every listing that you have should generate 6 to 8 leads per listing. If you're on the MLS, if it's on your website, if you're hosting open houses that generate leads correctly, you should have leads coming into your business. These listing leads create scalable opportunity because a lot of times when you have a listing and you get a lead, that lead that you get that could be a buyer is also somebody that may need to sell in order to buy. For every 25 leads that you have coming into your business, regardless of where they're coming from, and it's typically a combination from a lot of different things, websites, social media, maybe you have a paid lead source, your open houses, your client events and sphere of influence. Like we have a funnel for the leads, and for every 25 leads that come into the business, we need to have an agent on the team that's focusing on helping just those buyers work with those clients. Volume demands the support, and we just want to get that right person in the right place. At some point in time, when you're overwhelmed with listings, we'll look at adding that listing partner. Your goal is to get to 5 active listings as fast as possible. And with inventory, inventory fuels your growth. And right now, if you're on today's webinar, we're coming towards the end of February of 2026. March 1st of 2026, we have a 90-day listing challenge starting on purpose to help all of you that are on today's webinar or have watched the webinar replay implement the 90-day listing challenge, because if you don't have 5 listings now, we're going to help you get 5 within 90 days. And if you already have 5, we want you to double that and get 10. And if you have 15, we want you to double that and get 30. For every listing that you have, it should equal 1.5 buy-side transactions. So what that means is for every listing that you get, that's 2.5 deals. It doesn't always work out perfectly like that, but this is a proven number, and this momentum multiplies your production very quickly. The most dangerous growth phase in a real estate broker and an agent's business is 40 to 100 transactions a year. And this can not only apply to a broker owner or a branch broker or a team leader, but this is the point where revenue increases, visibility increases, because the more signs and more closings you have, the more visibility we get. But this also creates increased pressure for us, and growth exposes weak systems. And this is always a point in time where we have to reevaluate everything that you're doing in your business, fix a couple things, and then grow and scale again. Avoid this phase by installing leadership systems before production, because your production oftentimes forces all of these things on top of you. You need to have clear performance indicators for every position on the team, very defined roles and responsibilities, and financial visibility. That way we can turn pressure into controlled growth. And one of the things that we recommend for all agents is right out of the gate, when you start your business, and maybe you've been in business for a while and haven't implemented this, is you need an accounting program. And we used to actually recommend QuickBooks, but QuickBooks now is on a subscription service. It's super expensive. And we've shifted that to a program called Monarch Accounting. They have a great app that you can use. You can use it on your phone, your tablet, or your computer. And that Monarch app can help you control your finances in your business. That way we can get a really good idea of where you're at. One of the things we're going to provide everybody that has on today's webinar or that's registered or watches this web meeting replay on our YouTube channel is we are going to get everybody a financial benchmarking worksheet so that you know how to benchmark financially, and you know what to be spending and where you're supposed to be spending it in your business. We're going to give you a 90-day growth plan right now, and this is something that you're going to implement on March 1st. And if you're also participating in our 90-day listing challenge, those are going to run side by side. Now, if you're watching this replay and it's later in the year for your 90-day growth plan, you're just going to start on the first day of the next calendar month. It's easier to track everything in 90-day increments. Day 1 through 30 is we're going to build structure for your business and your team. If you already have a team in place, we want to grow and scale your team. You're going to look at your clear key performance indicators. You're going to look at the defined roles in your business. You're also going to implement the financial tracking and daily habits for your business to increase your production and your income. We call this our daily success habit tracker. Days 1 through 30, you're going to build momentum in your business. This is where we're going to step up our marketing. We're going to make sure that we're hosting our next client event, and we're going to refine workflows and set weekly accountability. And we want you to get a weekly accountability partner or a weekly accountability coach or a mentor that you can touch base with. And we recommend every Friday at the end of the day, whether it's in person, on Zoom, or you are texting them with your weekly numbers so that they know what you accomplished that week. And our week goes from Saturday to Friday. Day 61 through 90 is build capacity. This is where we're going to be hiring support staff. It may be your admin, it may be a buyer's agent, it may be a listing partner, it may be a transaction coordinator, because that can be a different role than an admin. But what we're going to do once we're hiring people, we're going to ask the right interview questions. We're going to ask them to take a personality profile test to see what their personality profile is, so we know what position they should be in and how to lead and manage them. And then we're going to continue to standardize process, which is our standard operating procedures. And then we're going to systematize the lead handling, follow up, and growth. Because if you're assigning a lead to a team member and they're not converting them, we need to figure out where they need to enhance their skills and ability to go out and convert at a much higher level. I'll never forget, I worked with a broker that had a team, and they're in a secondary home market, which is primarily vacation homes. And when they had leads come into their business, one of the questions that I had the very first time that I spoke with them about their business is, because of the market that you're in, how long does it take you to convert a lead that comes in that's a buyer to a closed transaction? And they said, that's a really good question. I think when a buyer lead comes in from any of our resources, I think our conversion is about 90 to 120 days. It takes us 3 to 4 months to take that buyer, convert them, close them on their vacation home. And so we actually went back and did an audit for their business over a 3-year period of time. And what we learned, that when a lead came into their business, the incubation period was 15 months from the time they got the lead to when the transaction closed. Now, that's a big difference between 90 and 120 days. And so what we did is we put some training in place and some skill development to try and get that from 15 months down to 12. And it took about a year to do that. And then once we got it to 12 months, the goal became eight. And then once it became eight, it became six. And now for every lead that they get in their business, their average incubation period is less than 6 months, which actually doubled their business. And they're not only making more money, they're doing it in way less time. But if we don't have that data and information, we can't predict your growth. The brokerage that you build your business at matters. And equity real estate, defined in two words, is empowered freedom. And what that means is at equity real estate, we empower our brokers and we empower our agents to have all the systems, all the training, and all the tools that they need to grow and scale their business. They have absolutely everything they need. And then because we're a set fee company, their commissions and compensation become very, very predictable on how much they're going to earn every single transaction. And then the freedom part is they get to run their business their way. And of course, one of the things we always recommend for our brokers and our agents is they need four pillars of income in their business. And typically, most agents only have one or two, and neither one of those pillars is typically enough to hit their income goal for the year. And in order for a pillar to be a pillar of income, whatever your income goal is for the year, it has to be able to hit that number. So for example, if your income goal for the year is 250,000, every single pillar of those four minimum need to be able to hit 250. If you hit your goal in all four pillars, that's over $1 million or $1 million in GCI. But it typically doesn't work out that way. You're going to earn 150,000 in one pillar, 80 in another, 60 in another, and 30 in another. And ultimately, at the end of the day, our goal is to help you eclipse your income goal for the year, but you're just not relying on one pillar of income. And we're going to share with you all of the different pillars that are available that you get to pick and start implementing in your business right away. As you scale, you're going to need freedom to structure your team. Going to need financial efficiency to protect your margins, and that financial benchmarking and accounting program is going to help you do that. You need leadership access, which if you're with equity real estate, you have access to leadership. We have two trainings a week. We have these webinars every month, at least two. We also have training on demand, and then a lot of other ways that you can access and work with coaches, trainers, and mentors in our company. We're going to help you with scalable infrastructure based on where you're at in your business and what's about to break or what's currently broken. And then you're going to get support without micromanagement. The right brokerage is going to help you accelerate growth, but the wrong one limits it. And there's a lot of companies out there right now that are promising agents things that they cannot deliver on. They get an agent to make a move, and then once the agent moves there and they're there for a couple of months or they get their first commission check, they say, "This is not what I was promised, and I made the wrong decision, but I already made it, and I feel like I'm stuck here." And so if you feel like you're stuck here at your brokerage and you think you might want to make a change but don't know if it makes financial sense, what I would like you to do is call me directly, scan that QR code, and schedule a 15-minute, a 30-minute, or a 1 hour web meeting with me, or send me an email, and I'm going to send you our commission calculator so that you compare your business and where you're at and the amount of money that you're currently making with your current brokerage to the amount of money that you could be saving and keeping and putting in your pocket working with equity. I sent this calculator out to an individual not too long ago, and when they put the numbers in the calculator and they compared the savings last year based on their production. If all they did was the exact same amount of business at equity based on our set fee model, they would have put an extra $38,000 in their pocket. And I don't know about you, but 38,000 sounds like a pretty good number to me. So it might not be that big for you. It might only be $4,000 or $5,000, but that's more money for you to either put in your pocket or put towards your marketing. Or if it's a much larger number than that, change your lifestyle, get out of debt, buy an income property, leverage every extra dollar that you can put into your business so that you can think about long-term wealth. We just don't want you thinking about 2026 or 2027 or 2028. We want to help you develop a 5-year, 10-year, or a plan to sunset your business where once you sunset, you still continue to earn income and revenue, whether you're awake, sleeping, playing golf, laying on the beach, or fishing, whatever you like to do, hiking in the mountains. We want you to develop sustainable growth and that lifestyle that continues to support you after you decide to sunset that business. We appreciate everybody being here today, everybody that attended the webinar. We're going to make sure that you get all of the items that we promised you to help you support your business and grow. In addition to that, if you are watching this replay on YouTube, the same thing applies. Give me a call, send me an email, scan that QR code. If you're watching the YouTube replay, you want the support tools that we promised, send me an email. Say, I watched the webinar. Please send me the tools and the support systems, and we will get those out to you. Thanks again for joining us today. Everybody be powerful, be productive, and we'll see you on our next equity webinar. Bye-bye.